Let's start with the life-changing moment you had with the car accident.
That was the turning point for me. I was miserable and depressed and unhappy and suicidal, turned this corner, and I had these series of experiences that basically taught me, in the end, at the end of our life, if you're sliding into death's doorway, you have these feelings and these impulses, and if you're conscious enough later on to reflect on it, you ask questions about your life to evaluate whether or not you're happy. Mm-hmm. And I asked, did I live? At the end, you wonder, did I live my life? Was I alive and vibrant and cheerful and joyous? Was I present? You wonder, did I love? Did I love openly and honestly and completely? Or in my case, did I hold back because I got hurt one time? And you wonder, did I matter? Did I make some kind of difference? So my message has always been, you're going to die. Not exactly motivational, but it's like, you're going to die. Right. So if that's true for everybody, then think about how would you value your life at the end? Figure out the questions you're going to ask at the end of your life. Figure out what questions you'd ask to see if you were happy with your life. Then wake up every day, live intentionally so you're happy with the answers at the end.
You ended up bankrupt, so how did that happen? What happened there?
I did my first seminar, and I didn't know how seminars worked. I didn't know how hotels fees worked. I didn't know production. I had lots of sponsors, but I also had a person who kind of took advantage of us and sued us because I didn't have the right insurance for the event. Oh. And I didn't know, when you're on stage, people are always looking for that chink in the armor. And I was so new.
Right.
And so I lost everything, moved in with my then girlfriend, and it was tough. Our apartment was so small that I was using the bed as really the desk. So all my bills and my bankruptcy papers and my journals and vision boards, research was all over the bed. And my lady came in, and it was late at night, she crawled under the covers to go to bed. And I'm just writing, I'm trying to get my head in it, and I look over, and I see my woman sleeping under the weight of my bills. Yeah. Literally.
Yeah.
And it just snapped something inside because, we can all be motivated, but sometimes we need to find something to fight for to really be committed. Yeah. And some people don't like that metaphor, so I say, if you don't have something to fight for, then find something to love for. But you need something outside of yourself, a mission, a purpose, a person, a cause, a dream that gets you off your butt and gets you really in the game. A lot of people want to write books. A lot of people want to do speaking. A lot of people want to do blogs. A lot of people do the coaching or the advising that I do, especially at the level I do now. But the reality is they haven't found their reason for it yet.
Mm-hmm. And that obviously worked because, correct me if I'm wrong, it was 18 months later you had a $4 million business?
Yeah, we did, exactly. I went from zero bankrupt. 18 months later, we did an online launch, and it did $4.6 million in that year. And that launch capped it with another $1 million. So it was immediate. It was just figuring out what it was. It was figuring out online marketing. And that's what everyone gives the credit to. That's kind of the origin of Experts Academy. Mm-hmm. But the reality behind it was high performance. Was I got my stuff together. I got focused. I became a SWAT team. I got a mentor. I was learning. Okay. Go. The challenge is right now everyone has competing interests. I could tra-la-la-la over here. I could go over there. I'll look a bird. It's just like they're all over the place because there's so much opportunities today. Back then, I didn't even see an opportunity. It was just I got to do this. I got to make it work. And sometimes entrepreneurs, successful people, they need to put their blinders back on.
Yeah.
They're losing their day to distraction. They're losing the day to faulty obligations. They've got the busy work, but they haven't found that life's work.
In those 18 months, what was a typical day like for you?
Same as it is now. First and foremost, I decided to own my morning.
Okay.
There's a reason we're shooting this right now, because I've already done my morning routines.
Okay.
So I stick to them very closely. I wake up, I drink 20 ounces of water, I give my thanks, I go and I stretch for usually about 20 minutes. So it's usually like a vinyasa flow or just a calisthenic stretch. Not my workout, just my stretch. Then I do 20 minutes of just planning and thinking about the day. So I strategize the day. And by the way, I do all that before looking at email, which is important. The number one thing that people don't realize is they're losing their day by starting it in reaction. 86% of smartphone owners, the first thing they do when they don't even get out of bed, they grab their phone on the nightstand, they go, And
Exactly,
what ends up,
that's me. Yep, we all have a problem.
Yeah, we can get you this is now science. We can get you 30% more productive throughout the course of your week if you don't check your email in the first hour of the day.
Wow.
And I mean, philosophically, that makes sense, right? Because if you jump right into your email, you automatically set the frame in your mind to react to other people's needs. And you're just reacting to the world. You're not strategically thinking, what are my moves forward? And today, the game is content. And so your day has got to be oriented towards content creation. What I tell people is you've got to release at least one significant chunk of content every week. Once you create that article, that video, that webinar, that webcast, that piece of interest, whatever it can be, that podcast, everything else, you can break it up. Take quotes out of it and share that all over line, share it in different formats all over online. But I tell people, you've got to do something every week that's significantly moving your business forward, whatever it is.
Now, what about authors or maybe a talk show host who they don't want to do courses? And I know that there are a lot of authors who are like, I just want to write, or speakers who are like, I just want to speak. What would you say to them?
Follow that. What they'll discover is at some point something worth fighting for beyond their own passion. Like I was the same. All I wanted to do was write books. And then what came beyond myself was students. If you're a thought leader today and you give a damn about students, you'll meet them where they want to be.
What's your number one piece of advice for someone at the very beginning of their entrepreneurial success development journey?
I would say never let your small business make you small-minded. Too many people's vision is caged in their current circumstances or their current competencies, what they're capable of.
Yeah.
And I always say you have to raise your ambition beyond where you're capable of now. There's nothing about my hometown that said I'd be working with an Oprah or an Usher or Fortune 50 CEOs, Olympians, like the highest level. Nothing from my hometown said, this kid's gonna have tens of millions of people following him.
Yeah.
This kid's gonna, sign books for presidents of the United States. There's nothing about where I came from that said I would be here. And so what I tell people all the time is your ambitions, don't limit them based on yesterday. Your ambitions, don't limit them based on your current skills. Where do you want to go? And what would be required of you to grow into that?
He is a master trainer and teacher, so there's so much we can learn from him. But here are my 5 keys to success from my interview with Brendon Burchard. Number 1, learn to be intentional. The turning point in his life, the car accident he had at 19, became the basis for his entire mission and message today. Number 2, learn to be consistent. Not the sexiest piece of advice, I realize, but a common trait among anyone who reaches massive success is that they are consistent day in and day out. And Brendon says focus on being consistent week in, week out. Number 3, learn to focus. He says that many entrepreneurs and high achievers tend to get distracted by all the opportunities and all the things they could be paying attention to, and need to learn to take more control over their day and their priorities instead of being reactionary. Number 4, learn to think big. He says nothing about his humble beginnings implied that he would be where he is today, advising people like Oprah and Usher, but he just learned to increase his skills, and with his increased skills, he kept increasing his vision. Number 5, learn to commit, and to commit to those that you serve. Learn to think beyond just your desires, your dream and vision, and think about how you can really help the people you're serving with your mission and message. I hope these 5 lessons inspired and encouraged you today. For more inspiring articles and videos, you can go to success.com, and to see my full interview with Brendon Burchard, go to thepursuit.tv.